Hello everyone, welcome back to Crimson Gray. Let's go ahead and continue. Was it possible that she was right about the vaccine? He hadn't taken it in several days, and after a few low points he actually felt much better than usual. The terrible irony of depression medication was that sometimes a drug can make you feel even worse, not better. Maybe the changes he'd attributed to vaccine were just changes in his life. There couldn't be anything to her conspiracy theories, but he could believe that Pt.4 would push their drug on anyone with depression even if it had mixed results. Things like that happened all the time. Abruptly, he resolved that if he made it out of the basement, he'd stop taking Paxtine as an experiment. He could stay on his old meds, see if he did better. If he actually showed signs of improvement, even Mrs. Smith would be happy to let him take older drugs. Regardless, for now he needed to take stock of his options, and take some kind of action while he had the opportunity and energy for it. He felt like he'd spent too much time thinking to make an escape attempt, and maybe he could accomplish something else. Maybe we could look for some tools. I don't want to hurt Lizzie, but I would like to try to get out. Using the screwdriver he had found earlier, John began to work on the metal cupboard. The lock appeared to be a simple one, and he could just wedge the screwdriver between the doors. He was afraid he'd make marks that Lizzie might notice, but the cupboard was already a battered old thing. After a lot of tedious poking at it, John was starting to worry he wouldn't accomplish anything. And then, out of nowhere, he managed to budge the latch just a little. Filled with a new energy, John kept jabbing at it, occasionally pushing it just a little further. Eventually he managed to open the cupboard, and made a painfully loud sound, but he's fairly confident Lizzie wasn't back yet, and now he could finally see the tools inside. His first feeling was that he had wasted his effort. Most of the tools were useless things like rakes and mops. But then he spotted it leading in the back. A crowbar. It was a little old, but it looked sturdy. We're not gonna beat her up, are we? But though the legs of the table were metal, the joints to the top weren't strong. Maybe if I struck it with the crowbar, he could bend it a little. The idea filled him with a little hope, but he rejected trying it immediately. He had wasted too much time, and there would be no way to hide an action like that. He needed to escape just after Lizzie left. Instead, John replaced the crowbar, closed the cupboard, and returned to his seat, hoping the fact that it was unlocked wasn't too obvious. On Friday, John woke up, stretched, yawned, scratched at the shackle in his leg, and got up to brush his teeth. It was only while brushing his teeth and staring at the walls of knives that he realized how normal this bizarre situation had become. 1 week ago, Lizzie had been asking him out on a date, and they had gone out like a normal couple. It felt like a lifetime ago. When he heard the basement door open, he didn't even glance up. He knew it'd just be Lizzie again. He just rinsed his mouth and set his toothbrush aside. Good morning. Can you believe it's been a week already? I was just thinking that, actually. Hasn't it been wonderful? We've been together every single day. It's bliss. You know, we haven't done anything that we couldn't have done without the kidnapping. But that's the point. She skipped in past him to the wall of knives. Lizzie held her arms behind her back as she examined them eagerly. When we were together at school, part of me was afraid we were both pretending. Even when we were alone, I wasn't myself. Lizzie chose one knife from the wall, caressing its edge slowly before taking it up. She turned to him, eyes unnaturally bright. A normal boy cannot done all those ordinary things with me after seeing the truth. You're saying I'm not normal? And I wouldn't want you to be. She came closer, knife swinging back and forth as her gaze remained fixated on him. She was close now, close enough that she could have kissed him or stabbed him. Please don't stab me, it will hurt. I want you to learn that you shouldn't be afraid of me. I know you would never pick up a knife to hurt you, right? I wanted an answer. Agree, disagree, kiss her? I think she might kiss us. I think she might stab us, because it would look like we're attacking her, but hey, let's give it a try. Kiss her. Instead of answering a question that might not have any good answer, John leaned forward and kissed Lizzie gently. She gave a surprised gasp, then leaned into the kiss. She kissed back like she was trying to devour him, and maybe she really was. But before it went on too long, Lizzie pulled back and stared at him shyly. I'm glad you did that, John, but I'm afraid. Afraid? Of me? Of this? Maybe I couldn't change. Maybe I did everything wrong. Lizzie rushed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. When she returned later in the day, she pretended like the kiss had never happened. John did the same, but he couldn't help but feel like something was different. On Saturday, Lizzie announced that she wanted to make a huge meal for both of them on the last day. She asked what he wanted to eat, and headed out for a shopping trip. As soon as he wasn't sure she was actually gone, John got up and took a deep breath. He didn't have much time left before the vacation was over. But what did he want to do? Let's see. Let's try to escape the shackles. John carefully retrieved the crowbar, then stood by the table for a while, just trying to motivate himself enough to actually do it. Eventually, he decided he didn't have a choice. He couldn't come this far and back down. He took a deep breath, pulled back, and swung. His first blow glanced off uselessly, and he nearly gave up then, but he forced himself to try again. This time the table creaked. Blow after blow, he slowly bent the table leg inward. It made a horrible noise, but that just motivated him to hit harder. There's no hope of going back now. At last the table leg stuck inward at an awkward angle. John dropped the crowbar and bent over, catching his breath. He knew he should check if it was enough, but now he almost didn't want to. Eventually he bent down and tugged at the shackle attached to the table leg. With enough tugging, he managed to pull it off. And then he was free. Maybe. Suddenly unable to deal with uncertainty, John grabbed the loose chain so he wouldn't trip over it and rushed for the stairs. Yes, the door was unlocked. He stepped out into the hallway and took a deep breath. Lizzie might have locked the front door, but he could always break a window if necessary. But now they had gotten this far, John hesitated. What now? Oh man. I feel like we would piss her off if we escaped. So maybe we stay in the basement? Or maybe if we stay in the basement, she would just slaughter us. But I don't think she would do that because she loves us. So let's just stay in the basement for now. Ah, yeah. John set the screwdriver and crowbar on the table, then repositioned his chairs directly in the center of the basement. When he heard Lizzie enter, he sat down facing the door, making the unhooked shackle obvious. Lizzie came down the stairs not long after, a smile on her face. And then she saw him, and her expression became utterly blank. Lizzie, don't be rash. Hello, Lizzie. You stayed. I didn't have to do this. This is my fault. Lizzie, calm down. Please don't get upset. But I kidnapped you, and... She was stumbling toward him, and he tensed when she reached behind her. But after pulling her knife from her waistband, and she set it down on the table. I almost ruined the only thing I had. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry. Sorry, so sorry, so sorry. The pain in the words was heartbreaking. Lizzie began to crumple, bending over with her back arched painfully. He moved to wrap his arms around her, keep her from curling against herself. Why? Why are you so kind? I like Lizzie too, but she's a little over the edge, and I'm kind of scared of her. But I can't help but like her. Lizzie, I don't want to hurt you either. Please calm down. Why did you stay? Why? Because I trust you, Lizzie. And I would like to trust you more. You don't have to do anything like this. I won't leave you. I just want to be happy. To smile sweetly and say I love you. And I do love you with everything I am, but there's so much of everything. It's okay, Lizzie. Let out what you feel. Can't believe you stayed. Can't believe you're holding me. Oh. She's, laughing. Crazily. Still in his arms, Lizzie unleashed peal after peal of insane laughter. There is an unearthly quality to it that made his skin crawl, but John just held onto her tighter and closed his eyes. You know, whatever's wrong with her, I don't think I can fix, but whatever it is, it's pretty odd. Eventually, the laughter faded, and she was still there. The tension in her body had dissipated, leaving her resting against him. I like how you calm down. At least the CG is a little nice. When she looked up into his eyes, there was a sweet love there, and also an intensity. He had never seen both of them in her at the same time, and it made him shiver involuntarily, but not necessarily in fear. John loves me. Yes, I do. I won't leave you. I never thought it could be like this. This is who I am. I thought I would calm down if you loved me, but now I feel so alive. I don't know what to do with these feelings. That's okay, Lizzie. I'll stay with you and we can figure it out together. And please kiss me, John. He bent and kissed her gently. She kissed back, gently at first, but then almost viciously. He tasted blood in their kiss and wasn't sure whose it was, but he didn't pull away. The kiss was wild and unhinged, utterly unlike any of his fumbling romances of the past. Lizzie's fingers dug into his back, and she kissed until she had to pull back, gasping for breath. Thank you. Thank you. Her eyes had softened again. He knew the intensity was still lurking underneath the peace he saw on the surface, but no longer frightened him. He felt like he should say something, but couldn't find the words. After a moment, he realized that Lizzie had fallen asleep. After a moment of uncertainty, he decided to carry Lizzie up the stairs. She was much lighter than he expected, and he didn't have a hard time taking her to her bed and tucking her in. Lying there, she looked almost angelic. He knew she wasn't and honestly didn't want her to be. John realized that she had slipped over a line and there was no going back. For now, though, he felt emotionally wrung out. He went to the couch and fell asleep almost immediately. Good morning, John. She was right there, watching him when he woke up. He gave her a soft smile. Good morning, Lizzie. There's one more day before our vacation is over. Would you like to do something? Well, I think we spent more than enough time in here. Do you want to go out somewhere? Yes. Yes, I would like that. And possibly, after all that, their day went completely normally. Lizzie seemed more relaxed than he had ever seen her, enjoying herself whether they were walking or eating or just sitting on the bus. She cast them freaking glances, but though they held an intense devotion, the desperate edge she had seen there was gone. After so long in the basement, he was glad to stretch his legs and feel the sunlight. It seemed as insane that all of that had really happened, but for now, he felt too much of a cathartic rush to feel any concern. When the day was finally over, they returned to her house. She didn't invite him in. Instead, they just lingered at the edge of the property. John, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. We can talk about it later. Then I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Yeah. See you then. He watched her go, then turned around and walked back to the bus stop alone. The entire ride back, he tried to think about his experiences but couldn't even begin to grasp everything that had happened. When John got home, he found the door undamaged. The entire house didn't look so different, as if it hadn't been abandoned for 9 days. There was only a single message on the answering machine. His father saying that he's going on a company vacation. He hadn't even noticed that John was gone. None of his friends had called. He had been taken out of the world and no one had even noticed. Then that's pretty sad. The only person he had cared was Lizzie. But she wasn't there with him now, and there were still too many emotions to sort through with her. John sat down on the couch and simply felt numb. He fell asleep there. An uncertain amount of time later, he slept and did not dream. In the morning, John felt surprisingly refreshed. He made sure to take the meds that Lizzie had sent with him, since they seemed to have worked well so far. When he went to school, he would have to ask Mrs. Smith for her opinion, because despite the absurdity of it all, they were still going to have to go to school. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him outside his house, which was probably a good thing, he decided. The walk to school in the crisp air gave him time to focus. Not that he reached any profound conclusions, but by the time he reached school he at least felt reasonably okay. He didn't spot Lizzie at all, but when he opened his locker he discovered a folded note in the center. It said, "I don't feel like murdering anyone today, surrounded by hearts." Despite himself, John laughed. At least he thought she meant it as a joke. When he looked up, he saw Lizzie around a nearby corner, and she smiled at him before vanishing. He drifted through several classes. Today he wasn't too different from the other students, since they were all back from vacation and unfocused. None of the teachers tried to make them do very much. After school, he headed to Mrs. Smith's office, not entirely sure what he was going to say after so long away. However, he definitely felt like he could use some counseling. "Ah, John, I hope you had a good vacation." "It was okay. You?" "Spent the entire time working, I'm afraid. I actually tried to call you, but it seems you weren't home." "Yeah, I was busy. Sorry." "Oh, it's fine. I just hope you haven't lost any of our progress. Why don't you lie down and we can get started right away?" He got onto the couch, but things didn't go as smoothly as usual. Mrs. Smith was doing her best, but he just couldn't concentrate. It didn't take a genius to know the reason. He needed to decide exactly what he was going to do. If he wanted protection from the police, this would be his best chance to ask for it secretly. Or even if he skipped some details, Mrs. Smith might be able to provide help of some kind. Or maybe he shouldn't tell her anything. It had all worked out for the best, hadn't it? "Something on your mind, John?" Lie about everything, hint or word about Lizzie, ask for relaxing, tell her the truth. Sure, this is not gonna be good. Braxton won't do anything. Lizzie, lying about everything. I think she's gonna find out eventually. Maybe a hint. We're worried about Lizzie. Just worried about Lizzie. She seems a little emotionally unstable. Unstable? How exactly? It's hard to put my finger on, but what you said about earlier got me thinking. And I'm not sure I feel safe all the time. But you two are still dating. I guess. Then it probably isn't too serious. If she had a severe condition, she probably wouldn't be able to form a normal bond at all. Mrs. Smith, do you know something I don't? Just thinking out loud. Apparently, Mrs. Smith thought he was doing better, because she ended their session early and let him go home. On his way out, he spotted Lizzie watching him from the shadows. He smiled at her and she smiled back, but that was all. And for now, that was enough. John started walking. The school year got away from him a little. Despite everything he'd been through, John found himself returning to something like a routine. His time with Lizzie was strange. At times she was even sweeter and more devoted than before, but occasionally she showed flashes of something else. Once when the classmate happened to smile at him, Lizzie explained at length about how she wanted to dismember the other girl one limb at a time. John just held her and stroked her hair. Maybe he was going crazy, but he no longer minded those parts of her. He much preferred that Lizzie to one who tried to hide her true nature from him. He wasn't sure if it was his imagination, but it almost felt like there was a little more color in the sky than there had been before. On occasion, he still headed to the library to try to look up more than Koitek, see if he could find out more about Lizzie's condition. It wasn't going terribly well. All he had to go on was old microfilm and random ideas, which was part of why he brought Lizzie, but she seemed uninterested. Eventually, he sat back and pondered how to go forward. This isn't working. We need to come up with something else. When I was at your house, you made some pretty long statements about Koitek. Do you know anything about them? Nothing specific. I just have a strong feeling that you shouldn't get involved. Well, I think you're right about the Pax team, so I'm happy to take you seriously. But I don't think I want to go full of conspiracy theory yet. And even if it was true, what could we do? I mean, we're just a couple of kids. It's not like their secrets will be printed in the local paper. Maybe it's best that we don't worry about them. For now. For now, sure, but later, there's any chance that we could learn more about you. Not to try to change you, Lizzie, but you know, you want to know, don't you? I don't care, but if you think it's important, then it's important to me too. But, yes, maybe now isn't the best time. We're too young to deal with something like this. If any of this is true, I wonder if we'll ever be old enough for it. There's something I wanted to ask you. It's not so important, but it's soon and it matters to me. Of course, go ahead. What is it? County Fair is coming up next month. Can we go? Together? Well, I've always thought it was kind of a cheap event, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad with you. Yay! I'll look forward to it. It was only later that John remembered something some of his classmates had said. Elementary schoolers went to the fair to play games. Middle schoolers went for roller coasters, and high schoolers went to get laid. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply? Had he just signed up for more than he had realized? But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently and just seemed to look forward to it with innocent anticipation. So it felt awkward to bring it up. And the longer you didn't mention it, the stranger it got. And so day by day, they eventually reached the date of the county fair. Lizzie met him at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him, and she immediately hurried to meet him. Oh, you're finally here. This is going to be so much fun. I'm glad to spend time with you, but honestly, I haven't gone to the fair in a few years. Oh, I'm sure we'll have fun. Besides, the most important thing is that people will see us together. What? Dating doesn't really count unless a guy is willing to go to the fair with you. Guys don't talk like that? No. For most guys, it's more about getting laid. Well, I want to do that too. But let's go check out all the attractions first. What the hell? Smug Lizzie is really adorable. For a while they just wandered, checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was still getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they walked. Honestly though, the idea of people thinking of them as boyfriend and girlfriend felt wrong. Too trivial. He wasn't sure what word was appropriate for them after everything they had been through, but he was certain that he was more committed to Lizzie than he had ever been to anyone. The way her eyes met his, not trying to hide the madness within, he felt very at peace with their relationship. Felt right, whatever it was. Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? Lizzie, no. I suppose you want to try it. Of course I do. The man running the booth looked pretty sleazy, and John was fairly certain the game was rigged. There was a big guy in line in front of him who only got a knife and one target and seemed pissed about it. Well, want to impress your lady friend? Here's some nice prizes if you can get a few knives in. Actually, she'll be throwing. Well, just be careful you don't cut yourself, little lady. These knives are shit. Look, we can't have people getting hurt. This is... It doesn't matter. Lizzie proceeded to hit his target with every single knife. She didn't just throw them. Her arm lashed out like a snake, and the next second the knife was deep in one of the targets. Why are you so good at throwing knives, Lizzie? Have you done this before? Have you killed anyone like this before? The man running the booth just looked irritated that his game was beaten, but he grudgingly showed them to the wild prizes. Lizzie clapped her hands gleefully. Oh, what should we get? You won. What do you want? I guess... How about the big teddy bear on the top? I can take anything I want, right? Just take what you want and go. John took down the bear and handed it to her. She hugged it with a cute little squeal, then skipped away. John followed with an odd expression. Stuffed bear? Really? I like taking them apart. She cast a quick glance at him, hesitant for a moment, but he smiled at her and she went on. As in, limb from limb. It helped me calm down before I found you. Well, maybe we'd better not do that in public. But if you want dismemberment bears, we can get dismemberment bears. Aw, how sweet. Seeing her win the game so effortlessly had him a bit curious though. When John spotted a high striker booth, he directed them toward it. He kind of marveled at the pole with the bell at the top. He'd seen them in pictures, but he hadn't been sure they actually existed anymore. Some classmates he barely recognized were trying their luck at the moment, swinging the hammer high overhead and bringing it down onto the target as hard as they could. None of them got the slider more than halfway to the belt. You want to give it a try? Yeah, let's. He gave the pad at the base of the pole his best swing. The slider went about halfway, but like most of his peers. He was happy with that. He expected to do a lot worse. But that really didn't matter. Once he was done, John put in another quarter, and then he extended the hammer toward Lizzie. Me? Yeah, and don't hold back. Hit as hard as you can. Well, I don't know about that. But she giggled and took the hammer from him all the same. While the lights stopped flashing, Lizzie held the hammer in one hand and got into position. When she actually struck, it was surprisingly fast. She raised the hammer, grasped it with both hands, and then somehow a second later she had already slammed it down. hard. The slider shot upwards and struck the bell with a cracking sound before it fell back down.
Oops, too hard.
That's what I thought, though.
Wait, do I not get anything now?
I think the lights just flash until you're really strong.
That's really disappointing.
She didn't seem disappointed, though, smiling at him as they walked onward.
So, you're curious about me.
Just wondering how strong you actually are.
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's always been that way. As soon as I went to kindergarten and met other kids, I realized I had to slow down and pretend to be weak, or they would look at me too much.
Well, it's pretty impressive.
I like hammers. They're just very messy. Knives are more fun to collect, and so practical. But what really feels best in my hand is an axe. I'm not sure why.
This might be another conversation better left for private.
Okay.
They walked onward, just chatting and enjoying each other, and John almost forgot about the fact that he was carrying the giant stuffed bear. He got a reminder when he heard an unpleasant snicker.
Are you fucking serious? You two came here to play around with stuffed animals?
One of his classmates was there with his girlfriend, pawing her chest while she giggled and swatted his hands. They both leered at John and Lizzie holding hands. I mean, what are you, 12? Once, taunts might have bothered him, but now John didn't care. He didn't even have any desire to prove that his friend was wrong. When he thought about what he had with Lizzie, he felt her squeeze his hand. He just didn't care.
Come on, let's ditch these losers.
His classmate's girlfriend led him away, and John didn't really care about that either. When he gave Lizzie a smile, though, she seemed a little irked. You can just ignore them, you know.
Yes, but that won't be satisfying. Come on, this way.
She's smug again. Are you gonna kill them, or something else? She dragged them away into the narrow alleyway between two stalls. A little ways down, there's a closed-off space in between several of the temporary stalls. Surrounded on three sides, the sounds of the fair seemed softer. He became very aware of how alone they were as Lizzie slid off her jacket.
You wanna do something not childish at all?
Oh, she's blushing. She's blushing. It's pretty cute. Yes, I think so. I do.
I don't know how you can just ignore what they said like that, but I admired it. Me, I want to do something to prove them wrong.
She pulled off her shirt and he smiled. Oh, you're doing a good job.
You have no idea how much you enjoyed that. We fit together so perfectly. It's like we were made for each other.
He leaned back against the wall, needing a moment to catch his breath.
That good, huh?
Yeah, Lizzie. Yeah. Lizzie stood up and gave him a hug before putting her bra and shirt back on. Wow, that felt amazing.
I know. I want to do this and so much more.
Maybe give me a break though. Lizzie giggled mischievously and took his hand to pull him from the alley.
Okay, but not too long.
Soon they headed back out of the alley. John felt like everyone must have noticed, but no one even looked at them. Actually, things outside seemed different. He frowned and glanced at Lizzie, who paused for a moment, then nodded. Something wrong?
The sounds in the distance aren't normal. There's too much tension.
As soon as she said it, he realized that she was right. It didn't sound like people talking and having fun. They were upset about something. They glanced at each other briefly, nodded, then headed toward the source of the commotion. Soon they arrived at a densely packed group of people clustered around the line of police tape. He could see a few cops moving within it, and spinning lights lit the entire scene in strange colors. But he couldn't tell what happened. Lizzie frowned, pondering something. She nodded her head toward the crowd, so he headed forward to learn more. He found a familiar face in the crowd and tapped her shoulder. Hey, what's going on? Oh god, it's horrible. Someone from our school was killed. Who? His face was taken off entirely. They're still trying to identify him. Oh shit. Is there another killer here? It's certainly not you, Lizzie. You're here with me all the time. Oh shit. Did they know who did it? They say it. Can't believe this, but they said it was some girl from our school. She stabbed 2 of the police officers, like with a knife. They were rushed to the hospital. Oh. What about her? They shot her. Seriously. Or at least that's what I heard. I just got here in time to see the body before they covered it up, but I didn't see the violent part. How horrible. Thanks for telling me, though. His classmate went back to staring at the crime scene, so he let himself drift back to Lizzie. Her eyes had grown serious, so he followed her as she put some distance between them and the crowd. Normally I would have guessed it was you, but... No, I wasn't. I wouldn't kill anyone who got between us. Anyone you wanted me to. But I wasn't involved with this. Did he have some idea, though? There was another girl. Not like me, but similar. In our school? Really? Her mother knew Abby. They got kicked out of a Pt.4 program together. For the same reason? Being pregnant? Oh, you have got to be kidding me. I never liked her. We never really spoke, but I think she could have been capable of this. Then what do we do? Before she could answer, several unmarked vehicles drove up, right onto the fairground. The men that emerged from them were blank uniforms that meant nothing to John but immediately filled him with a sense of dread. In a matter of minutes, they were everywhere. The police were patrolling more seriously. The strange men had taken over the crime scene, and the atmosphere had become tense. John? We should go. Exactly. She went with him to his door and he kissed her goodnight, but they both knew that things weren't alright. Not yet. With a cloud of uncertainty hanging over him, he had a very difficult time falling asleep. And that's all the time I have left for today, but if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment what you think so far, and yeah, if you want to watch more of this visual novel, please check the playlist down below. If you want to watch other videos, please check my channel down below. Anyways, thank you, and take care.